Hey guys, it's your favorite announcer Nova. Before this video starts, I just want to say thank you for the incredible amount of support on my last video. I truly didn't expect it to be anywhere nearly as successful as it was. Like, I was expecting maybe 50 views, maybe a couple comments, a sub or two, but you guys absolutely blew it out of the water. Not only did we hit over 150 subs, the video itself passed over 6,000 views and over 100 different comments that were, for the most part, very supportive. I tried my best to respond to each and every one of them, so thank you all so much for the amount of interaction that this video got. I hope to make YouTube a career one day, and this truly could not have been a much better start. Also, I do plan on doing giveaways in the future, probably along the lines of the Premium Battle Pass, but it honestly depends on how big the channel grows and how fast. As of right now, I do work a full-time job, so I can only get videos out every so often, but I'm hoping to potentially switch to part-time so I can pursue making more videos. Any support in making that happen is appreciated, whether that is leaving a like, a comment, or if you truly feel I deserve your time, why not subscribe? I'm still in the learning process as far as making and recording videos, but I will definitely try to make your guys' time worthwhile. Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. In the last video, I discussed my proposed solution for griefing in the finals, and a lot of you seemed to like the idea that I had. If you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend watching that video first before watching this one. That being said, there were also a lot of other ideas that were brought up in the comment section by you guys, so I thought I'd showcase some of them. And just to clarify before I get into these, I don't mean to be negative towards any of these ideas, as they're all hypotheticals, and I hope you don't take any of my words too seriously if I do have any criticisms. This video is all for fun, and just seeing what kind of ideas that you guys came up with. The first idea that I want to go over is that cash boxes would give up portions of its value throughout the duration, instead of one flat deposit at the very end of the duration. So, for example, if the cash box is worth, let's say, $8,000, it would give maybe $2,000 every 30 seconds, since cash outs last roughly 2 minutes. This means that if you were to hold the cash out for 75% of its duration, but lose it towards the end, you'd only miss out on around $2,000. Now, these values could be tweaked in a ton of different ways, so just keep that in mind. Right off the bat, I do think that it's a pretty decent idea, and I think it could lead to matches being a lot closer score-wise, assuming that there's a lot of steals happening during the match. I think the only main critique that I have is that if there's not a ton of steals happening, and first and second teams both get full amounts of each cash out, then the last cash out may not provide enough for third and fourth place teams to have any chance of winning at all. This would bring us back to the same situation of first place deciding who they want to help double, and then simply defending that last cash out from anyone who tries to take it. Overall though, I think it's a pretty solid idea, and with some testing it may prove effective, so great idea. Moving on to the next idea, we have scaling the squad wipe percentage based on your current placement in the round. The idea for this one is that first place would lose 30%, second place would lose 20%, third place would lose 10%, and fourth place would lose around 5%, or something along the line of these values. This would mean that the top two teams would need to be extra careful throughout the match if they want to avoid losing tons of money, and this method could again lead to the matches being a lot closer depending on the skill levels of the four teams. What this also means is that in cases where the top two teams are completely dominating the match, both teams would need to play that much more carefully during the last cash outs because they could potentially be knocked out without even needing to double. The only thing I see potentially happening here is that the first place team would still go for that double, but have just one teammate stay hidden in case that they weren't successful. This means that they could still grief out a second place team fairly easily, and as long as that one person does not die, they can't be wiped, and therefore cannot be put in danger. That being said, I think it sounds fairly good, and I'd be down to see this assuming it had the proper testing. Moving on to the next idea, this one focuses on rewarding players extra RS or rank score depending on the amount of cash that they receive during the entire tournament. I think this idea is very straightforward and doesn't need too much explaining, which means that it would be easy to understand for all players. I think this could be a great way to get the first place team to want as much money as possible, but it would honestly depend on how much bonus RS you would get. It would have to be enough to incentivize not griefing out the better teams in order to make the rest of the tournament easier. For example, if I can get 1,000 RS for winning the entire tournament, but only get a bonus 25 RS for getting over 50,000 in any given round, I feel like teams would still be more inclined to grief because the value of getting first in the entire tournament would still be more than risking a lower placement by playing more difficult teams. I think with the right values, this idea could work very well, but again, it would depend on the value of the bonus given. And for our last idea, I want to go over the idea of having a losers bracket. How I imagine it would work is that it would only apply to the first round losers on both brackets, and they would simply just play against each other for another chance to get into the tournament and not completely knocked out. This would require tournament style modes to have one of two changes. A, make the final round 4 teams of 3 instead of 2 teams of 3, or B, make the tournament one round longer. Personally, I think Embark would need to lean towards option B, but I think it would depend on how the RS gain would work. I would like to think that winning the losers bracket would simply prevent you from losing RS, but I think it would be unfair to gain any, considering you would be going against the worst teams in the 2 brackets. Doing this would also make it so that the winners bracket actually has a benefit for qualifying the first round. Now, Embark is doing a pretty similar structure with the majors that they're hosting, as far as having a losers bracket, so I could see this potentially being a pretty good idea. As long as it's executed very carefully and the RS gains are reevaluated, I think this would be pretty decent. Now that we've gone over some of the possible solutions suggested by you guys, I just want to reiterate that these are all solid ideas. I think that if Embark really took the time to hammer these out, any of these have the possibility of being effective. Seeing all the different ideas that you guys had really proves to me that the finals has a great community that cares about the game. Instead of complaining in the comments, you guys generated an actual discussion topic, and again, I just want to say thank you. You guys are awesome. Also, if your idea was mentioned and I completely misunderstood the idea you were trying to convey, just please let me know in the comments. I think I understood them for the most part, but hey, none of us are perfect, especially me. I do have more ideas lined up that I want to make for videos, so I'll most likely be doing a poll just to see which kind of ideas you guys like best. Like I said at the beginning of the video though, I do work full time, so I can't promise all my videos are going to be structured exactly like this one. Heck, some videos may just be raw gameplay with some music in the background, but it honestly just depends on how much time I have throughout the weeks. All that being said, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to support me in any way you see fit. I'm still very new to the video process, so any form of encouragement is always appreciated. And as always, thank you for taking time to watch, and I hope to see you all in the finals. Take care.